Hey, you know what we're doing? We are going to do the information on Diluc from Genshin Impact. All information is provided by the Genshin Impact fandom. Let's begin. Diluc Wagenvinder is a playable pyro character in Genshin Impact. Born to the influent Wagner family, Diluc is the current owner of the Dong Winery and a nobleman of high esteem in Mondstadt society. While a past decision caused him to split ways with the Knights of Favonius, he continues to protect Mondstadt in his own way. Diluc Wagenvinder is a male pyro character in Genshin Impact. His weapon is a claymore, and his element is pyro. His birthday is April 30th. His constellation is Nakura. He is from the nation of Mondstadt. Diluc affections are with the Dong Winery, an unknown intelligence organization, and formerly with the Knights of Favonius. His favorite food and special dish is a Once Upon a Time in Mondstadt, which is a variant of the Pie Me Up dish. He was released as a playable character on December 28, 2020. He goes by 4 titles: The Dark Side of Dawn, Dark Knight Hero, The Uncrowned King of Mondstadt, and Captain Pyro by Paimon. Diluc is a tall man of average to lean build with pale skin, fiery half-livid eyes, and secret scarlet huge hair, which is usually worn in a auburnt ponytail that extends to his main back. Usually his expression appears to be bored, exaggerated, and unpunched. Diluc wears a black shirt, a long white vest with a black coat with a red gem. Over this, he dons a dark brown coat with a adorn with golden trimmings and tassels. Ending with black fur trims, he wears black pants, and which is symbols with chains on his right thigh, while his vision is attached to his belt. It's settled upon his left thigh, along with cleft dark brown boots held by marble buckles. Diluc also wears gloves, which are black and crimson red undersides. Around his neck, too, is worn back with a black bow tie, pinned with a red brooch. Kai calls himself and Diluc anti-heroes with attitude problems. Diluc once was a confident and passionate young man, declared to his work at the Knights of Favonius. When he was a member of the Knights, he adorned his father, Cerberus, but after his father's untimely death, Diluc grew aloof, bitter, and distant, in part due to the Inspector Eric's mishandling of the case. Even after Eric was discharged as a traitor, Diluc resigned his treatment from the Knights, claiming that they are too competent. Believing them to be unfit for the job, he became a vigilante known as the Dark Knight Hero to protect the people of Mondstadt. Despite his animosity towards the Knights, Diluc believes that both Lisa and Jean are some of the better members, but committing that the former is too relaxed and while the latter holds too much focus on her responsibilities that prevent her from reaching her full potential. Even then, he still respects Jean for all the work she does for the people. Diluc is not a fan of alcohol, stating that he doesn't like its taste, instead preferring grape juice. This does not appear to be well known by many, however, most likely as a result of him being the current owner of Mondstadt's largest wine producer. He even expresses surprise when he learns that Diana also loves alcohol, having instead believed that he was the only bartender in Mondstadt that did not like alcohol. Tempered Sword is Diluc's normal attack. Normal attack can perform 4 constructive strikes. The charge attack drains stamina over time to perform concentric slashes. At the end of the sequence, performed a more powerful slash, while the pummeling attack plunges from the mid-air to strike the ground, damaging opponents along the path and dealing AoE damage upon impact. Searing Oversight is Diluc's elemental skill, performs a forward slash that deals pyro damage. This skill can be used 3 times consecutively, enters CD, if not, cast again within a short period of 5 seconds. Dawn is Diluc's elemental burst. It releases intense flames to knock nearby opponents back, dealing pyro damage. The flames are conceived into the weapon, summoning a phoenix that flies forward and deals massive pyro damage to all opponents in its path. The phoenix explodes upon reaching its destination, causing a large amount of AoE pyro damage. The scarring flames that run through and down the blade cause it to be influenced with pyro. Relentless is Diluc's first acceleration passive skill, which Diluc charged attack. The stamina cost is decreased by 50% and its deceleration is increased by 3 seconds. Blessing of the Phoenix is Diluc's 4th acceleration passive skill. The pyro enchantment proven by Dawn lasts for 4 seconds longer. Admittedly, Diluc gains 20% pyro bonus during the duration of this effect. Tradition of the Dawn of Night. This is Diluc's elementally passive skill. It refunds 15% of the ores used when crafting claymore-type weapons. As the city of ballads and wine, Mondstadt's alcohol industry is renowned all over Teyvat. As the owner of the Dawn Winery, Diluc is especially in charge of the industry. This means he has a huge team of refuge and an entire network of information in the form of taverns, patrons, gossip right at his fingertips. In a way, he's the uncrowned king of Mondstadt. The scent of wine always lingered in the air in Mondstadt. If one were to follow the scent to its source, one would invincibly arrive at Diluc's Dawn Winery. A wooden plaque proudly announces the winery's name, and beneath it is written the winery's memento, "Shining True." Most interpret this to mean that the wines are brewed for consistency of taste, with time-honored techniques, and that some healthy dose of sunny optimism that the jars brings. Meanwhile, the more pragmatic Knights of Favonius are reminded of the long history of mutual support between the winery and the city. Winery holds festivities from time to time. These events are roundly attended by enthusiastic fathers eager to introduce their wonderful daughters to the young and single winery master. This is all highly entertaining to the other guests to watch on and comment mockingly. We much rather Master Diluc stays married to the winery given how good this wine is. Diluc deals with incredibly situations no matter who or what comes his way. Diluc is a fine young gentleman in every constructive respect. Diluc avoids talking about his past. If only Diluc were still a member of the Knights. After a few drinks, senior Knights will say words that to effect with a sigh. Refer to the events from a long time ago, back when Diluc's father, Master Cerberus, was still the owner of the winery. Master Cerberus' wish was for his son to become the most esteemed knight of all and safeguard Mondstadt, the city of freedom. As per se his father's wishes, Diluc trained rigorously to make himself worthy of the Rendevar name. Sure enough, he passed the Knights of Favonius trial, swore the oath of protection to Mondstadt, and entered their ranks. Before long, he received an early promotion which saw him become a youngest ever cavalry captain. Over the course of his missions in Prylitz, the denizens of Mondstadt gradually came to know his young and prestigious cavalry captain. Not matter what mission depended from him, he always managed to compose in his passion. No matter how big the challenge before him was, his boundless courage always led him to the fine line. The praise he received from his comrades and citizens spurred him on, but the words of praise he valued the most of all were, "Good job. Not that, my son. Now that's my son." His father's words fueled the fire inside his heart and served as his greatest motivation. His faith was an unquenchable fire that burst and burned strong with bright inside him. Diluc was so young back then. Sometimes life can change in an instant. A service spoke these words to Diluc, which turned out to be the letters last as the Knights of Avonius. For on that day, a horrific monster attacked the transport fleet he and his father were traveling with. There was no time for Diluc to send for help. The monster was stronger than any foe the young cavalry captain had ever encountered and overpowered him. Diluc could never have estimated that the way his battle would end. His father, who had denied entrance into the knights and who was shunned by the gods, defeated the monster with an unknown evil power. Before that, the same power backfired, mortally ruining Cerberus himself. Cerberus died shortly after his son's arms. With a heavy heart, Diluc returned to the Knights' headquarters only to receive an unthinkable order from Inspector Eric. Conceal the truth. Eric insisted that the incident must be portrayed as an unfortunate accident in order to maintain the reputation of the Knights of Avonius in the eyes of the public. Such was a sheer outrageous of this request that Diluc did not think it was even worth trying to argue. Diluc's father had once said to him that the world would never turn its back on the faithful. But now the Knights of Avonius trampled on his faith like it was nothing. He couldn't help but wonder, what was his father's view on faith in the final moments? Diluc resigned from the Knights that day and left everything behind, including his vision. He swore to avenge his father's death and to find the source of the occult power which had caused his father's demise. After Diluc resigned and discouraged his vision, he handed the running of the Dawn Winery over to the head housemaid and left Mondstadt altogether. Diluc traveled all across the 7 nations of Teyvat in search of the truth. All clues pointed towards a brief wolf of an organization, the Fatui. He learned that they made counterfeited visions in secret, calling them delusions. A delusion could amplify the power of its barrier to its extreme, but also carries the risk of backfiring. That was what had caused his father's death. Was it possible that his father would have obtained such an outrageous item in order to do good? Diluc knew he may never know the full truth, but that could never stop him from pursuing it. Like an edge soaring the wilderness, he set off on his hunt for the truth. Determination burned like fire in his heart. Unfavorable emerges and unending battles could not sway him from his course. He passed it on restlessly, scared but undetained, like a fiery tornado burning through the demise of fog of mystery. The Fatui's rulers, the 11, monitored Diluc's progress from the shadows. The prowlers with each he led waste a numerous Fatui strongholds caught their attention and forced them to take action. Diluc narrowly escaped death at the hands of the 11 thanks to a third-party overseer from the north, who was part of a vast underground intelligence network. overseer claimed to have been overseeing Diluc for some time and approved of his methods after his close encounter with death. Diluc took a long, hard look at his past and the anger he had harbored so far. Acknowledging his shortcomings, he decided to join the underground intelligence network. Just like when he first joined the Knights of Erroneous, Diluc committed himself fully to his work. His talents and skills saw him rise steadily through the ranks until the upper echelons of the network. The network was made up of volunteers, and many of its members had willingly given up their prior positions and reputations to join. Some had even abandoned their names, working with these new comrades finally restored the faith he once chose to. They had been but all destroyed in the events surrounding his father's death. Shine true. Background to this memento is honestly considered, but to Diluc it is one simple, clear line. Meaning, evil couldn't go unpunished, never settle for monarchy, never forget that the dawn will one day come. Diluc's solitary sojourn lasted for 3 years. 4 years on, Diluc had returned to Mondstadt and taken over as head of the family winery, now a young man. To the space of these 4 years, Eric had been purged from the Knights of Erroneous after being shown to be a traitor, while Grandmaster Varka had left on an expedition, leaving Master Jean to ensure the role as acting Grandmaster. The return of the Valley Winery's master should have been a momentous occasion for Mondstadt, but strangely it was unnoticed. The reason? Mondstadt's citizens were far too busy patrolling the mysterious case of an unknown guardian of Mondstadt. All that was known about the anonymous guardian was that he smelled of burning wood in his wake, and that a flash of red flames would reveal his silhouette, but for a moment in the darkness of the night before he disappeared in an instant. The bodies of monsters that had plagued Mondstadt for an age now lay dead in the wilderness. Mondstadt's most wanted thieves suddenly appeared, bound and gagged, hanging from their feet. The statue plaza, all the Knights of Erroneous were dispatched to reckon once and for all with the Abyss Mage behind countless crimes in the city, but they arrived only to discover that he had long since been killed. Aided by wine-fueled conversations, word of the mysterious guardian spread swiftly, and that he came to be known as Dark Knight Hero. Public Diluc appeared to hold his hero in concept, his face curling up in disgust every time his name was unread. Easier of the Mondstadt's Winery Guild was the one of the select few who was to know, and once quartered Diluc about this was his disapproval of the Dark Knight Hero, just an act intended to throw the knights off his trail and protect his enemy. But Diluc simply refrained once more and curly replied, "It's just a stupid name." Diluc may hold the whole winery industry in the palm of his hand, but he himself is not fond of wine. At Diluc's request, the Dawn Winery developed several alcohol-free beverages, a decision in which was met with responding approval from those in Mondstadt who could not drink alcohol, but still wanted to partake in the drinking culture. One of those free alcohol beverages is Mondstadt's apple cider vinegar, the excess of which is on par with the dandelion wine in terms of monthly sales volumes. Some think that Diluc have such high standards when it comes to wine that he is never seen drinking the more quality beverages that are available to the public. Others think that drinking wine must surely remind him of his father, and that is why he does not touch it. When praised about his drinking habits, he responds by saying that alcohol clouds his thoughts, and consuming it would impact his day-to-day work. But the thing that people don't understand is, what kind of day-to-day work does a winery master do if it requires him to never touch a drop of alcohol? Krepis had two regards in his life. One was never becoming a knight, and the other was never obtaining a vision. For this reason, in the moment Diluc received his vision, he took his as a recognition by the gods of his father and his ambition. Only could make his father proud. Just a few years later, his father died on a dark, gloomy day. The hopes and dreams that burned bright in Diluc's vision were extinguished in a torrential rain that fell on the night. Not only how upright and good-hearted a person may be, death is still come to them without warning. Is this where the tale of justice ends, just like that? It seems to him that his vision and his status as a knight were both equally inflated and established him to protect the things that he trusted most. It was time to discard them both, he decided. When he recognized his own powerlessness, his vision became but a burden of no gather service than a delusion. Empty titles were known interests to him. He sought after albeit flames that would burn brighter than any other, and an unshakable resolve. Only a firm resolve can drive the true seekers forward, and the only epic flames can vanquish the ice that freezes the hand of justice. On the day Diluc returned to Mondstadt, he took up his vision once more. The events of his years away had purged him of his childhood innocency and turned him into a hero, ready to shoulder his father's will once again. Each night he fought for Mondstadt. He did not discuss the past, but he did not deny his past. To the lost, perhaps a vision is a beacon of light given by the gods to help them find a way forward. But for those with conviction, a vision is simply an exchange of their strength, a medium of challenging their willpower, a tribute to the extenuations and expectations that have sharpened them, and a talisman to the story of their life so far. Diluc's name is derived from the Latin word diluculum, meaning daybreak or dawn. His father's Krepis is his name derived from the antonym crepusculum, meaning twilight, dusk, or darkness. Constellation nocturna is Latin for the owl, or literally night bird, and his family name Rendavar may be derived from the Old Norse words Ren, gods, plus Vendar, wind, meaning wind god. Fact 1. Kaya was adopted in the Rendavar family, making him Diluc's adopted brother. In Chinese, Kaya used to call Diluc adopted over the brother. Vast Kaya gives him in the manga can be found in-game inside the Winery. Its description notes it looks out of place and is apparently a gift. This is the same vase he mentions during A Child's Secret. Fact 2. Despite owning the winery, Diluc likes mouthful of alcohol and prefers grape juice, which he keeps stocked at Angel Share. According to Val, Diluc once downed an entire glass of Cesnaya's specialty alcohol, fire water, in one go during a banquet with Cesnaya's merchants. Afterwards, he passed out for 3 days. And Adelaide remarked that she never seen someone get drunk like that before. Charles' dislodge about firewater may be referring to this incident. Fact 3. Diluc has a habit of pulling his left glove up. He does so in his character card, in which ideal animation, and before attacking enemies during certain cutscenes. May be related to the fact that Diluc previously wore his delusion on his left glove. Fact 4. Based on his character story, Diluc's estimated age is roughly 22 years old. Diluc left Mondstadt after his father's death on his 18th birthday, and by the time he returned 4 years later, Raka, who embarked on an expedition 6 months before the game's story, was already gone. The manga's timeline conflicts with Diluc's character stories. The manga is set merely 3 years after Prepus's death, making its events occur before Diluc returned to Mondstadt. Fact 5. In Diluc's official wish art, he is seen wielding a blood-tainted great sword, a gacha weapon. Fact 6. Diluc has an anonymous message on the cattail's message board, in which he lets himself express wistfully for the past before wishing cattails luck in their business. And finally, fact number 7, Diluc owns an unbreakable falcon and likes to use his own pet to say. We have reached the end of the story and info of Diluc, the Dark Knight hero of Mondstadt. I hope you enjoy. Please leave a like, subscribe if you are watching this on YouTube, comment down below if you want and what you think. I'll be doing the Mondstadt characters first before heading down to Liyue characters. Anyways, without further ado, until next time, see ya!